know that one spot in your house that you keep avoiding? It might be a closet or a box in the basement, maybe a shelf in the garage. The one that's just there. You walk past it all the time thinking, I should really get to that, but somehow you never do. That's okay. We've all got one. Life moves fast, and these little corners end up holding pieces of our past we don't quite know what to do with. But then one day, maybe when you're searching for something, or maybe when you just finally decide to deal with it, you open it. You start sorting through old things, and suddenly, you're not just cleaning. You're remembering. You find something small, like a photo or a handwritten note, a piece of clothing. And for a second, you pause, because in your hands isn't just an object. It's a snapshot of who you were back then. And it hits you. That version of you still matters. She might have been younger, more uncertain, maybe even a little lost. But she was also brave and hopeful, just figuring it out the best she could. And you can feel that connection. Not in a sad way, but in a quiet way, like, oh yeah, she's still in there. Today, we're talking about what happens when you finally clean out that one space and find pieces of your old self waiting there. And that's okay. Welcome to And That's Okay, the podcast where we explore the ups and downs of life and remind ourselves that whatever we're feeling, it's for a reason, and that's okay. I'm Lisa Renee Scott, your host and a passionate believer that every feeling matters and every step forward counts. Each week, we'll dive into real-life challenges, share relatable experiences, and uncover simple, actionable steps to help you navigate it all. So let's take a deep breath in and get started. You know what's interesting is it's never really about the stuff. It's about what the stuff represents. That concert ticket you kept, well, that was laughter, fun, freedom. And that stack of old cards, that was from people who love and supported you. That worn out hoodie, man, that was comfort and warmth, right? Every single thing holds a little story about who you've been and what you've lived through. And when you open that space, you're really opening a doorway back to parts of yourself you might have outgrown. Cleaning out can feel emotional, sure. Sometimes it brings pride, sometimes tears, but oftentimes both, right? But that mix of emotion, it's a good sign. Because feelings are signals, and it means you're reconnecting, not resisting. I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine shared that she finally cleaned out a few bins in her garage. She found her old hiking boots from years ago, still dusty from the trip that she took right before everything in her life had changed. She said, I forgot how adventurous I used to be. I miss doing that. Here's the thing. She hadn't lost part of herself. She just buried it under life. And those boots weren't just boots. They were proof that she once did brave, adventurous things. And it was a reminder that she still can. That's the gift with these moments. They don't drag us back. They remind us who we've always been. But here's a part we don't always talk about. Not everything you find feels good. Sometimes what's tucked away in those spaces isn't joy or hope. It's pain. You might find a reminder of a friendship that ended, a letter you never sent, or something that takes you right back to a season you thought you'd moved past. And for a second, it stings. You feel that lump in your throat, that rush of emotion that you didn't expect. And your first instinct might be to shove it all back in the box. But what if instead you just sit with it? Because even those heavier memories have something to teach you. Maybe they remind you how far you've come since those moments. Maybe they show you the strength it took to survive what you never thought you could. Or maybe they simply remind you of what you value now, what you'll never settle for again. Those memories may hurt, but they're proof of your resilience. They show you that the version of you who struggled, who failed, who cried, she mattered too. She helped build the version of you listening here today. You don't have to celebrate those moments. You just have to honor them and then decide they don't get to define you anymore. Maybe that's what these forgotten corners are really about. Not cleaning, but clearing, making room, physically and emotionally, to breathe again. When you open that space, you give yourself permission to honor who you were, appreciate who you are, and welcome who you are becoming. It's less about the dust and more about the discovery. So let's dive into some action steps. 1, I want you to pick one small space this week and give it your attention, not your judgment. Pick a drawer, a bin, a shelf, a box, something manageable. And as you go through it, notice what feelings come up. When something catches your attention, you hesitate, you sigh, you smile. That's your cue. Instead of rushing past it, stop for a second. Notice what's happening inside and name what you feel, even if it's messy. Like, this makes me feel sad. This reminds me of a time I felt confident. This brings regret in my life. Naming it helps pull the emotion from the background into the present, where you can actually understand it now, where you may not have fully understood it back then. And I want you to ask yourself some gentle questions like, what is this emotion telling me now? Sometimes it's reminding you of something unfinished. Sometimes it's showing you what mattered most. Sometimes it's just saying, I remember, and nothing else. This matters because if you skip this moment, if you rush past the feeling, you miss the real reason the clutter carries weight. Remember, feelings are signals. Recognizing what comes up gives you insight into what you're still holding on to emotionally, not just physically. It's a space in your home or in your office or in your car, but there's emotion attached to it. Otherwise, it would have been gone a long time ago, right? Maybe that old journal makes you sad because you haven't celebrated how far you've come since then. Maybe that photo makes you happy because it reminds you of a connection that you've been craving. Maybe that object stirs frustration because you're realizing you've outgrown something, and that's growth talking. When you give those emotions space, you turn a simple cleanup into a moment of awareness. You stop carrying invisible weight and you start understanding it. And that's where the real clearing happens. Number 2, pick one specific item that reminds you of strength, achievement, or quality you admire about yourself. And put it somewhere where you'll see it every day. Maybe it's a photo of yourself completing a big goal like finishing a race, graduating, celebrating some milestone. Maybe it's a medal, a trophy, or a certificate you've earned. A handwritten note you saved from someone who believed in you. Maybe a favorite journal entry or doodle that shows your creativity or courage. Place it somewhere you will encounter it daily. Your nightstand, your bathroom mirror, your desk at work. Not tucked away in a drawer or back in another box. Because it turns an object into a daily reminder of your resilience, your growth, and your capability. Every time you see it, it reconnects you to a version of yourself you're proud of. The part that believed, tried, or overcame something difficult. This helps you because it builds confidence. You're reminded you've handled challenges before. This helps you stay grounded. You see evidence of your own strength and resourcefulness. This helps you bridge past and present. You honor who you were while supporting who you are becoming. In short, you're not keeping clutter. You're keeping a living symbol of your growth, one that motivates and centers you every day. Number 3, when you're done, pause and take a breath and ask yourself out loud, what did I make space for today? Example of these may be peace, creativity, energy, rest, focus, connection, whatever feels the most meaningful in that moment. This is a super important part of the process because it transforms the act of cleaning to intention. Without this reflection, cleaning can feel like an obligation or a chore. And so by asking this question, you turn a physical action into a purposeful act. You're not just clearing space, you're creating space for new things. It also shifts your focus from loss to gain because it's easy to focus on what you're giving up, old clothes, sentimental items, memories. Naming what you're making room for reframes the experience as a positive creation rather than letting go or I have to get rid of things. And it strengthens your self-awareness and mindfulness. By saying it out loud, it makes your intention concrete. You connect your physical environment with your emotional and mental state, creating a stronger sense of control, clarity, and alignment, which reinforces motivation and follow-through. Once you recognize what you've made space for, you're more likely to make choices throughout the day or week, coming months, that support it. For example, if you say, I made space for focus, you may naturally prioritize tasks that align with that intention. It also encourages emotional closure. It's a small ritual that signals I honor what's gone and I welcome what matters now. This gives your mind permission to let go of what no longer serves you and fully embrace what you want to cultivate. So whether it's a closet, a box, or a corner you've been avoiding, what you find isn't just objects. It's pieces of yourself waiting to be remembered. The good, the messy, the painful. It all shaped who you are today. When you open that space, whether it holds joy, heartbreak, or both, you're doing more than cleaning. You're meeting every version of yourself, learning from her, and choosing what belongs in your life going forward. You didn't just clear out space. You uncovered the brave, the hopeful, the struggling, and the resilient parts of your life. You honored all of it. And now you can move forward with intention and courage because you've made room for your next chapter. You've proven that your past does not define you. It empowers you. And that's okay. Thanks for tuning into this episode of And That's Okay. I hope our conversation left you encouraged and equipped with practical steps you can start using in your own life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need this message. And if you're loving the podcast, you'll definitely want to grab a copy of my book, And That's Okay. It's available on Amazon or through my website. Just check the link in my bio or the captions of this episode. For daily inspiration, reflections, and more tools to support your growth, come connect with me on social media. I'd love to hear how you're applying these steps in your own life. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that I'm not a licensed doctor or therapist. I'm simply sharing experiences and insights that have helped me and others like me along the way. Remember, whatever you're feeling or going through, you have feelings, and that's okay.